What's happening, everyone? Steve here, Cars with Steve, and today I'm going to be teaching you everything that you need to know about Sync3 in the 2021 Ford Explorer Limited Hybrid. It's a fairly in-depth video, so I'm going to be going over everything that you might need to know. If you have any questions, run into any problems, drop into the comment section below and let me know what's going on. If you're enjoying the content and enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing with the bell notifications on because it definitely does help the channel grow. But let's dive right into it and see what Sync3 in the 2021 Ford Explorer is all about. Next up, this is the Sync3 system that's available inside of the 2021 Explorer. Now, Sync 4 is available in some vehicles, unfortunately not in the Explorer lineup as of yet. Hopefully we'll see that coming inside of the 2022 vehicles or 2023. Fingers crossed. But Sync3 screen, now one thing to note, this thing is fixed. Unfortunately, it doesn't slide up or down. It's locked in place there. Now, this is the screen that you're going to be met with when the vehicle's first turned on. So taking a look there, we do have our home button. So if you're ever on any other screen and you want to get back to the home button, all we have to do is just press this home icon along the top there in order to bring us back to this summary screen. Along the left hand side, we do have our built-in navigation, so our factory navigation, whatever song is currently playing, if our phone was connected, as well as a hot button press in order to see what's going on with our engine. So because this is the hybrid, that's why we have this unique look. If you didn't have the hybrid, you just wouldn't have this button there. So home, and very straightforward from there. So let's start off with, let's go with audio first. So audio along the top, we've got our ability to look through different sources, so our AM, FM, Sirius XM. If our cell phone was connected, it would show up there. And pressing back. And we've also got the ability to tune in a few different ways. So we can either manually tune if we want to change a station there. We've got the ability to do that. We can use the tuning knob, or we can use our voice command button on our steering wheel. And as you can see there along the bottom, we do have a series of different presets that are both AM, FM, Sirius XM. So a nice little mix. So if you listen to different stations, you've got the ability to set that up. In order to be able to save a preset, once you've changed the station that you'd want to set, all you're going to do is press and hold. As you can see there, it's now saved it as a preset. Adding a phone is also a very straightforward process. All we're going to do is literally just add phone.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
And follow the instructions. So we're going to turn on Bluetooth on our phone. And we're going to wait as Ford Explorer is going to show up there. Perfect. And we're just going to tap Ford Explorer.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Okay, so we just want to make sure that these numbers match up, which in this case they do. So we're going to hit yes and pair. Okay, now it's asking...
Safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Okay, so now that it's finished up with those messages, it's asking us, do we want to allow our contacts and favorites to sync? Absolutely, so we're going to hit allow there. And perfect, so we're now connected there. Now, a few things to point out. 911 assist, I always recommend turning that one on. And the big reason why is because if the vehicle senses that we're in an accident and our phone's connected, it'll automatically dial 911 for us. Automatically contact downloads, yeah, whenever we have a contact that's new, we want to make sure that the vehicle downloads it so that it's saved inside of the system. And we're just going to hit finish from there. And as you can see there, I'm now connected. It's really that easy. We've got my call list, contacts, my phone, and a number of other things. In order to connect to Apple CarPlay, we do have to physically be connected. Let's see how that process works. First thing we're going to do, step number one, take our USB cable, and we're just going to find any available USB port, and we're simply going to plug it in. Step number one is complete. From there, all we're going to do is take our USB cable, and we're just going to plug it into our phone and watch what happens. Boom, Apple CarPlay lets you use your phone in a way. So absolutely, in order to use Apple CarPlay, we do have to agree to this. So we're just going to hit continue. Okay, and some basic terms and conditions. So we do need to accept and agree to this in order to be able to use CarPlay. So we're going to agree. Okay, now wait a minute. Finish setting up CarPlay. So now what it wants me to do is unlock my phone. So enter your password in. If you've got Face ID, etc., we're just going to unlock the device. Boom. Connected. It's really that simple. Now a message showed up on my phone there. Do I want to allow CarPlay with Sync while my phone is locked? Absolutely. So we're going to hit allow there. and I'm now connected. Now look at this, really, really nice. So we've got the ability to use Google Maps, I can use Waze, I can use Apple Maps, I can use so many different things. So if you don't like to use the factory navigation, or maybe you don't have factory navigation in your vehicle, you've got the ability to easily choose between whatever one you'd like to. Like, look at this. We can use the Waze app directly through this middle screen. It's so incredible. Searching for address is very, very easy. And then just pressing this button along the bottom in order to bring us back to our home screen. So I love the fact that it's really this simple. We can look look at my phone to make phone calls. We can look at my text messages, listen to podcasts. LiveX Live is a radio app, so some apps will work through this middle screen. LiveX Live, Spotify, things like that. If for whatever reason you get an app that's not working, just make sure that your iOS is up to date on your phone. I did try to connect to this earlier and I didn't have my phone up to date. It was running, I think, iOS 11. I updated to the newest iOS 14 and it easily worked. So it connected without a problem. As you can see there, I'm fully up to date. Now, one of the nice things about CarPlay here is that we've also got the ability to change things up a little bit. So if we go to General on our phone, so we go Settings, General, we've also got CarPlay along the bottom. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna turn on Wi-Fi. Watch what happens. So we've got Sync3, Customize, and as you can see there, we've got a list of different icons and a bunch of different things. So if we had other things that we use more, like maybe you use podcasts more, all we have to do is drag and watch this, real time, boom, real time update. So we can easily remove things. If we do, let's say, delete the calendar app, remove it, it jumps into the very bottom, so under more apps, so I can easily add it back in if I want to. But it's really, really nice. And then if you ever mess up, you kind of don't like the organization, you can just reset it back to our default layout. 3, 2, 1, and boom, we are back to our default again. So it's really that simple. Now, in order to, so if we take a look there, nope, unplugged, okay, perfect. Now plug back in. So I accidentally unplugged there, okay, perfect. CarPlay is back, accidentally slipped it out there. But looking, so as you can see, we've got a nice, beautiful look. Now, if for whatever reason you don't want to use Apple CarPlay, but you're physically connected in order to charge up your phone, just hit this forward sync button. That's going to bring you back to that sync home screen. Now, by default, it's going to run off of whatever map is going on in your phone. But if you wanted to use the built-in navigation instead of your phone navigation, all you have to do is go into Apple CarPlay. Now, Apple CarPlay, we can completely disconnect it. So if we completely disconnect Apple CarPlay, as you can see there, it's now going to be based off of our navigation for the vehicle instead, and we can completely remove the phone as well. So it's very straightforward. In order to remove the phone, we can do it through CarPlay there, or we can look through my phone. We can view any active connected devices, which really it should just be this iPhone. Perfect, okay. So we've got my phone there, so we can either disconnect it or we can completely remove it. So we're gonna remove, and jump back to phone for a second, and we're completely disconnected, and that's how we get an iPhone connected to the Explorer. Connecting an Android device is the exact same process. So we can manually connect, so we can connect over Bluetooth if we want to just make phone calls and things like that. But if we want to use Android Auto as well, all we have to do is take our USB cable, insert it into the device, and watch what happens. Boom. Android Auto extends the Android platform. Exactly what we just saw on the iPhone. We do need to hit continue there. And same thing, we need to agree to these terms in order to be able to use Android Auto. And look at this. Connected. Watch my phone now. So Android Auto, welcome. We need to unlock in order to continue. So just going to unlock the device. Boom. Continue. All right. Android Auto would like to turn on Bluetooth and pair. So let's do that. Perfect. And we have launched into Android Auto. So really that's simple. Now, a couple of things to point out here. There we go. All right, perfect. Waiting for those last little bits. So on the device, it's making sure that we automatically download our contacts, which we want to do. And then on my phone, allow access to messages. Yes, and we are connected. So jumping into our home screen there, we've got Google Maps. We can use the Waze app. We can use a number of different things directly through this middle screen as well. So really, really amazing. Now, very similar to what we just finished seeing in Apple CarPlay. If for whatever reason you don't want to use or if you don't want to use the built-in navigation on your phone, you want to go to factory navigation, we're just going to hit the exit button there, and that's going to bring us back to this home screen. So we can do a hot press launch in order to get into our maps from there. So really straightforward. Press that button there in order to bring us back to the Android Auto home screen on the vehicle. But if we want to, very similar to what we just saw in the Apple CarPlay side of things, if we wanted to just get rid of some preferences, so we're just going to go to Android Auto, and we can disable Android Auto, which means I'm still charging the device, but I'm not using Android Auto anymore. I'm now using factory navigation. From there, we can jump into my phone, we can view devices, we've got this active device, and we can disconnect or we can completely remove. So let's remove it, and boom, now completely disconnected. So it really is that simple. Next up, moving into factory navigation. So you don't want to use your cell phone navigation, not a problem. You can use the factory navigation inside of the limited version of the Explorer. Taking a look. So we've got the ability to easily search for an address. So all we have to do is just literally type in an address. So we're just going to start typing in. Now the address itself, it will autocomplete. So if we just start typing in an address and just give it a second in between, as you can see there, it's going to start updating the address dynamically. Select the address from there that you'd like to navigate to. And we can either save it as a favorite or press start.
Obey traffic loss, be alert, and use voice commands while driving.
All right.
Please proceed to the highlighted route, and then the route guidance will start.
So the route is now active. We can mute it if we want to. We can pull up some other menu options and controls, or we can press the X button in order to be able to cancel the route very, very easily. Boom! Route is now canceled. So let's bring our controls back up now. We've got some menu options, so different types of screen views, traffic lists, navigation setting is going to be the big one there. So taking a look at our map preferences first, we've got 3D models, breadcrumbs, really, really neat. As we start to drive the vehicle, when we go to navigation, it'll start giving us literally a trail of the directions or the route that we've taken. So really useful if you're going to an area that you're not really familiar with, you can track where you've been. Moving back into our navigation, we've also got our point of interest icons. So do we want things like gas stations showing up on our map as well? Route preferences, do we want to go the fastest, shortest, or the most eco-friendly route? You've got whatever option there. Always use the fastest route as an option. We can avoid freeways, toll roads, car trains, of tunnels, things like that. Now, one of the nice things is that maybe you don't like to drive on freeways. We can select that, and then it's automatically, dynamically going to update the navigation for us based off of whatever our route preferences are. Last one is going to be our navigation preferences. So our prompts, do we want to have voice prompts? So as we're coming up to a turn, it's going to say, turn in 100 meters. We can have that yes or no, or it's just going to be a tone letting us know that we've got an upcoming turn. So we've got either do voice and tone, just the voice, or just the tone. Try saying that 10 times fast. All right, next up, where am I? We can do a basic search. We can look at history. We can also save a number of different favorites as well. So if we've saved, a bunch of different things, we've got the ability to do that. We can also set up our home or our work address through favorites or in the very back of the screen there. Now, one of the benefits of setting up our home and work address is when we do that, we can press the voice button on our steering wheel and say navigate home, and it's automatically going to navigate us to whatever settings we have set up there. So really, really cool. And that's the basics of using factory navigation. Next up, our app screen. There are certain apps that will work directly through this middle screen. If our phone was connected, we had things like LiveX Live, Spotify, Pandora, etc. That would all work directly through this middle screen. So some apps work, some apps don't. If your app doesn't work, just make sure your operating system is updated to the latest release, and you also have the most recent version of the app installed as well. Moving into settings, this is where things get a little bit more advanced. So we've got basic sound settings, which are going to be things like treble, mid-range, bass, and we can select balance, fade, things like that. We can reset it to a default, factory default, if we kind of mess with the settings a little bit too much. Moving back, we've got our clock settings now, so we can either increase or decrease an hour or a minute, change it to AM, PM. If you prefer the military time, we can go that route. Auto daylight savings time, so if the vehicle senses that it's that time of the year, so we're springing forward or falling back an hour, it'll automatically do that for us. An auto time zone update, so if we're in a different time zone because we're traveling east coast to west coast, west to east, etc., it'll automatically update the time zone based on the GPS location. Moving back. All right, from there, so we've got some basic Bluetooth settings as well, so we can turn Bluetooth off. We can add a device in there. We can add a phone in here.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
So a few different places, phone button there in order to add a phone in. From there, we've got a radio button. So radio, HD radio, on or off. Our radio text. So the radio text and our preset pages. Let's actually do this first. So I want to update. I always recommend making sure your preset pages are set to the maximum, which is 6, and I'll explain why in a second. Preset pages at 6, radio text is on. The radio text, let's jump back to the home screen, is this information there. So whether or not that one shows up is up to you, but by changing the preset pages to 6, we've now got up to 30 individual presets. So really, really useful if you're the type of person that you like to listen to a bunch of stations. You can have up to 30 individual stations saved. Really, really neat. Now, one other thing to point out, actually, let's go back to audio for a second. Okay, I'm going to go to sources and Sirius XM. Now watch what happens. That's gone from audio to our Sirius XM instead. So we've got same thing, preset pages. We can set all sorts of channels. We can do a parental lock. So if you've got kids, you don't want them to listen to certain stations, you can lock them out. Or if you want to play a prank on your spouse, you can also do that. Different notifications, tune start, and a number of other things. So really, really beneficial if you're a heavy Sirius XM user. You've got the capabilities to customize some basic things. So if we go back to our home for a second there and change it back to FM, it's back to our radio. Next up, some driver assistance settings. Now this is where things get a little bit interesting because there's a lot of things to cover off. Starting off, cruise control. 3 different types of cruise control, either normal, adaptive, or intelligent. Normal cruise control is going to be just your normal type of cruise. So you're essentially set at cruise. If you brake, you have to reset it. The adaptive cruise takes it to the next level. Adaptive cruise control is essentially a set it and forget it cruise. So let's say if you set it at, I don't know, 100 kilometers an hour on the highway, if the vehicle in front of you slows down, yours will automatically brake. If they pick up speed or get out of the way, yours will automatically pick you back up to your set speed. Intelligent cruise control takes that to the next level, takes adaptive cruise to the next level with a tolerance level. So if we turn on a tolerance level, let's say of 5 kilometers an hour, if we're on the highway, or let's say if we're on a road and it's at an 80 kilometer, 60 mile, whatever the case may be, and it drops by more than our tolerance level, it's automatically going to slow our speed down for us. So it's not only going to set us up so that it automatically brakes for us, if a vehicle's in the way, it'll automatically recognize the speed sign and it'll slow us down automatically. So really, really cool. I always recommend keep the intelligent cruise control on. It's really, really neat setting. From there, we've got our lane keeping system. Same thing, works 3 different ways. We've got, 3 modes, our alert, which if we start to veer over into a lane without signaling, the vehicle will take over the steering wheel. The vehicle will actually shake the steering wheel, almost as if we're running over rumble pavement. The aid, if we start to veer over without signaling, the vehicle will literally take over the wheel and pull us back into our lane, centering us in our lane. It's essentially almost like a hands-free driving experience. Not hands-free in the Explorer as of yet. That's in the 2021 F-150 and the Mach-E, which is coming soon. Oh, so excited. Next up, the alert and the aid will do both. So it's going to not only give us a little bit of a shake, but it'll also recenter us and pull us back into our lane. And then the intensity is the intensity of that shake. From there, we've got pre-collision assist with a number of different options. So great safety settings and great safety features there. Active braking. If the vehicle senses a potential collision, it's automatically going to pre-charge the brakes and then brake for us in order to avoid or minimize the impact of the collision. If for whatever reason braking is not an option, evasive steering takes over and it'll pull you out of the way of a potential collision. And then how sensitive is it to doing these options? From there, we've also got speed sign recognition as well, so we can get a speed warning for tolerance. So if the speed limit is 60 and we go 10 kilometers an hour over the limit based off of our tolerance, then we'll get a little message letting us know. From there, we've got our blind spot system. So blind spot system, let's hop over there for a second. And we'll toggle that off. So as you can see there, see that orange light? That's going to highlight orange whenever somebody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. So that's just that blind spot system setting there. I always recommend keeping that one turned on. Boom. From there, we've also got our trailer blind spot. Now this is the trailer blind spot and trailer sway control. Reason number 1, why you want to get the factory towing option. Because what's going to happen is when we enter our trailer dimensions, that blind spot system that I just showed you is not only going to cover the length of the vehicle, it'll also extend out to cover the dimensions of the trailer. So really, really cool. The trailer sway control, if the vehicle senses the trailer is swaying, it's automatically going to apply braking to the engine in order to try to get that sway under control. Cross traffic alert, if the vehicle senses a vehicle coming perpendicular, we'll get a message letting us know that there's a potential collision. And then we've got a driver alert letting us know that we should probably take a rest if we get too many notifications. And that's going to be the basics of the driver assistance. From there, we've got some basic vehicle settings. So vehicle settings, 30-minute idle max. So if our vehicle's just sitting idling, it'll automatically turn off after 30 minutes. Our rear occupancy alert, watch this. So really, really amazing feature, and it's something that's so simple. So what that belt minder does, or what that seat minder does, I should say, is it lets us know that we should check the back seat to make sure that there's nobody there, because as much as we don't want to think about it, sometimes it does happen where, you know, you might forget a child in the back seat. So this just gives us a very simple reminder to check the back seat. I love that Ford has done this, and it's such an easy thing. Next up, easy entry exit. So with this function turned on, when we turn the vehicle off, it'll automatically slide the seat back for us. As we start to move down, My Key gives our vehicle certain limitations based off of the key fob. So we can have it so we can set up a limitation for the key fob, and that would be things like maybe the radio won't turn on until our seatbelt's plugged in, or we can only go up to a certain speed. So maybe we can go no faster than 60 miles or 100 kilometers an hour. So we've got the capabilities to do that. So really useful if you're lending the vehicle out to a young driver, or you want to play a prank on your spouse. From there, we've got the onboard serial number, remote start setup. So the vehicle does have remote start. We can remote start through either the fob or through your cell phone using the Ford Pass app. So we can have the remote start active. We can turn the system off completely if we want to. And then when we're remote started, what happens? With climate control, is it going to automatically let the vehicle determine what the cabin temperature should be, or is it going to be based off of the last settings before the vehicle is turned off? From there, we've also got seat and steering wheel. So we've got heated and cooled seats inside of this thing. So are we going to let the vehicle determine if those should be on, or are we going to have those features off? From there, duration of the remote start, is it going to last for 5, 10, or 15 minutes? Next up, we've got our windows. So windows remote open. So really cool. You can actually use the key fob to open up the windows. For the front windows, let's take a look outside and see how that's done. In order to use the key fob to remote roll down the windows, what we're going to do is press the unlock button twice. On that second press, we're just going to hold. So 1, 2, and hold. Watch this. Down they go. So it's good for the front windows. Now, one thing to note, in the Limited, you can use the remote in order to roll the windows down, but you do have to manually roll them back up again. So really, really cool and so simple as well. I love the fact that we've got the capabilities to do that. Moving back, we've also got, oh, wrong button. Moving back, we've also got our wipers. So wipers, we've got our courtesy wipe, which if with our courtesy wipe on, what'll happen is if our windshield, if we're going, we've cleaned our windshield using the windshield wiper fluid, it'll take a few seconds and then it'll just give us one more wipe to get rid of any sort of excess water that might be on the windshield. Rain sensing wipers, it's got it, keep it on, it's automatically going to adjust the speed of the wipers for us based off of how much rain's hitting the windshield. And then our rear wiper on when in reverse. Really, really cool. What's going to happen is if our front windshield wiper is going and we put the car into reverse, it's automatically going to turn on our rear wiper for us as well. So really, really neat. From there, we've also got our powered liftgate. So we've got the ability to enable or disable the switch on the outside of the vehicle. Lighting, we've got auto high beam. With auto high beam turned on, the vehicle is automatically going to turn on our high beams for us. And then if it recognizes an oncoming vehicle, it'll dim them before turning them off completely. Next up is our auto lamp delay. So our auto lamp, when we go to lock the vehicle, do our lamps turn off automatically? Do they stay on for 10, 20, or 120 seconds? We've also got our locks, so we've got a series of different ones. I always recommend keeping these things on, but like just to give you an example of what some of these things do, the mislock chirp, if we go to shut our door and the door is not completely shut, when you go to lock it, it'll give you a double beep letting you know that something's wrong. Other one to point out, our remote unlock. So when we go to unlock the vehicle, do all doors become unlocked or is it just the driver's door? Again, really a matter of preference what happens there. And looking next up, we've got our mirrors. So mirrors, we can turn the auto fold setting on or off from there. So when we go to lock the vehicle, do the mirrors automatically fold in for us? Door keypad code, so very last one, which gives us emergency access to the vehicle, or access to the vehicle, I should say, if we don't have the fob on us. So there's a 5-digit factory number that's going to be there as a default, and we've got the ability to program in as many codes as we want to. So really, really nice. And that is going to be the basics for our vehicle settings. Next up, Ford Pass Connect. So we've got some basic settings there. One nice thing is that the vehicle does have the built-in modem, so we can use it as a wireless hotspot. So very straightforward. In order to turn that on, you actually just have to go to your local cell phone provider. In Canada, it's Bell Mobility, in order to get a data-only plan to give this thing a hotspot for up to 10 devices. So really useful if you're on the go and you've got kids complaining, running off of data, you can just go off of that Wi-Fi plan instead. General settings. So settings, we can go between English and French, Spanish, etc. Change between Celsius and Fahrenheit, kilometers or liters per 100, miles per gallon. Change the tire pressure. This beeping that we're getting, we can turn that beeping off if we want to. From there, we've also got a few reset options, so we can reset Ford Pass Connect. So if for whatever reason we need to kick somebody off of our Ford Pass account, or if it's given us issues, we can just do a reset there. Or we've got an option of doing a full reset, so we can bring the vehicle back to our factory defaults. Next up, we've got the ability to turn on Wi-Fi at home, and what I recommend is turn on Wi-Fi and turn on your automatic updates. Big reason why is because when you're connected at home, the vehicle's automatically going to download any sort of software updates that are available and install it for you. So always recommend keep that one turned on when you're at home. Mobile apps, will mobile apps work over USB? Will some mobile apps work? Yes or no? We've got our Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, so we've got the ability to easily connect. We can remove devices from there. It's deleted, that simple. Apple CarPlay, if we had multiple devices, we can turn it on or off, or we can remove it completely as well. From there, we've got some basic display settings. So display, as nice as this thing is, some people might think it's a little bit busy. If that's the case, we can hit display off and it'll turn the display off completely, press it to bring it back to life again, or we can go into a calming screen, which the calming screen is going to just give us the time and the date, again, just making it a little bit more of a simple look. Press in order to bring it back to life. Jumping back into our settings, into our display, we've also got a series of other options. We can change around the background image or the brightness, and we've also got a few different modes. So it's currently in the daytime, well, it's in auto, but this is the look of the daytime mode. So we can switch between the daytime to always have the day look. We can have it so that it's always the night look, or we can let the vehicle determine which one should be going on. But look at this. I love the look of this blue. So I would always recommend, well, for me anyways, I would always keep this night look on permanently, or you can turn it to auto. Like I mentioned, the vehicle is going to determine if it should be the daytime or the nighttime setting, just depending on how bright it is outside. But again, it's really a matter of preference which one you select there. And moving back, next up is our voice control. So at voice control, really neat. Let's start off with advanced mode. I want you to take a listen for a second. 99.9.
Tuning to FM 99.9.
Okay, so we got a notification letting us know that it's changed the radio station. So we'll just jump back to the audio there, and as you can see, it has absolutely changed the station for us, but watch what happens when we turn on the advanced mode. 94.9. Okay, so we didn't get a message, but it's changed the screen. So what happens with the advanced mode, we just won't get as many notifications. Phone confirmation, when we make a phone call, do you want to call such and such person? Yes, always recommend keeping that one on. And our voice command list. So when we press the voice button on the steering wheel, this is the voice command list. So whether or not you want that one to show up, it's really up to you. We've also got valet mode. So valet mode, if we enter a 4-digit number, don't use something like 0000, use something a little bit more challenging, but look at this, it's completely locked the screen. So I can't do anything until I re-enter that 4-digit number, and it is going to completely unlock that screen for me. And then from there, we've got some ambient light choices. So if you have a preference for a different color, we can select that. So we've got orange, blue, red, etc. And that's going to be cup holder lighting and a few other types of lighting throughout the vehicle. We've got our basic navigation settings, which we've already covered off when we went through these nav preferences. Now, that is going to be the basics of this Sync3 screen. Well, folks, that was a look at the 2021 Ford Explorer and Sync3. What did you think? If you have any questions, make sure you drop down below and let me know. And please give the video a thumbs up if you found the content useful, and subscribe because it definitely helps the channel grow. But until I see you next time, make sure you stay safe.